I want to talk to you about the main approach we're going to take concerning this last section of the course, which is reading a work of literature and understanding ways to think about it. Now, there are multiple ways that you can enjoy a good story, and these stories, over the test of time, given the influence that these stories have had at large or just in their own genre, and also given the attention they've gotten at colleges, universities, also the critical voice that has examined this and has evaluated it as a high work of art. All of those things together make some of these stories exceptional, and thus we have the great works of literature collection. And Long Day's Journey into Night is in there. So let's try to figure out ways to think about it profitably, to understand it, and to write about it. Now, I'm not asking for us to understand everything about this play. One thing about great works of literature is that the second time you read them, the third time you watch it, the fourth time you read it, whatever, you constantly have a continuing experience of enjoyment, of thought-provoking activity, of insight, of growth, mental growth. You feel that the book is worth that second read, is worth that third read. Many of these somehow continue to speak. All right, even to the individual that has spent a third of their lives, a fourth, half their lives studying literature. So, learning how to approach these works, learning how to think about them, is a huge plus in your intellectual life, for you to have. Now, when it comes to, analyzing the text, there are a couple different approaches you can take. In fact, there are quite a few. But to try to, talk about all those approaches and then to try to practice them or whatever in the time that we have left is going to be futile. So what I would much rather do is say, look, let's focus on one of the main ways, one of the common ways to approach works of literature. And that is this way is going to be character analysis. All right, so I want us to write our final paper on character analysis. Now, character analysis is sort of it's partitive. In other words, it's not I'm not going to ask you to look at each character, and try to fit them all together into the picture of the whole. That can be done, but for us, I'd rather we just focus on one. If you understand one character, and then you understand another character and another character, you can see how together they are doing things to further the goals of the story, right? And in order to see that big picture, you sometimes need to just focus on one character, right? And just really understand that collection of desires and drives and personality traits and intellect, and where it fits in the bigger scheme. So one thing I want you to just kind of remember and understand is the paper I want you to write is sort of an analysis of just one character. Pick one character in the family and study that character. All right. So, part of doing that is your reading assignment for this week. I want you to skip read to half of the play. So, next week you'll finish again. Now, you've already read it once. I understand that, okay? But one thing about working with great literature is being willing to go back and read it again and read it again. And I'm not going to be asking you to do that for this work, but I do want you to go back and I want you to reread sections that deal specifically with your character. So pick your character and then look for places, start at the beginning, and try to read specifically what your character is saying, what they're doing. Remind yourself of where they are in that dialogue or that conversation, and study their words, okay? Obviously, you're going to have to maybe read a little bit in context to see what others are saying to this character. But again, I'm not asking you to reread everything. I'm just pick a character, start from the beginning, and study how that one character develops just by reading their dialogue, okay? And get to half of the book. Next week you finish off the other half, but this time you're reading with a purpose. You're reading those lines, that you're reading about just that character, trying to understand what makes them tick, what they're afraid of, their fears, their aggression, their dark traits, their good traits, their vulnerabilities, all of that. You're trying to figure them out, if you will, as a person. So that's what I'm asking you to do in terms of your reading assignment. And this is where we need to begin in terms of writing this literature essay that we have for this last essay of the class. Now, there may be other things that align themselves with your character, and if you start sensing those other things, then you should write them down in a journal or a note list at least, or somewhere, so that you can bring this into your paper as you try to explain your character, the depths or the purpose of your character, what O'Neill was using your character for. If you're not picking a main character, you might be picking one of the secondary characters of the family, and and you might be trying to explain how this character was actually there for a reason, and that was to do something that affected one of the other characters. Or maybe you're picking one of the main characters, I don't know. But for example, all right, the mother keeps on hearing foghorns, right? And they keep her up at night and all this other stuff, right? So that particular tension, that thing that she's struggling with, that foghorn and her insomnia, but why would anybody be needing to use a foghorn? Because there's a busy river right by the house, and things are so murky, things are so confused on the river initially, right? I mean, there's a cloud on the river that the boat, just to try to take care not to hit anything or to be hit, right? It's almost as much self-preservation as taking care of other people. They're just sounding a big noise saying, here I am, don't hit me. To what extent might that actually be a metaphor for what the mother is doing with her calls for help? You see what I'm saying? So if you're analyzing the mother, then that foghorn might be part of, it should be part of what you bring into your essay, right? And you'll notice that foghorn, because as you read what the mother is saying and how she finds herself in her situations, you realize she keeps on referring to her headache or her foghorn or whatever. The father and his failed play, the play can be part of your literature, your essay, because that's very close. The father, things are being revealed about the father based on how he is responding to his past histories, his memories, and things like that. And that one play of his actually was a huge hit, so it wasn't a failed play, but it locked him into one play, and he never had any success after that to speak of. So you'll find that there are other things that wrap themselves around that one character you pick, okay? And you need to be writing those down, thinking about those, right? And eventually I want to see that in your paper. Now, as you can already tell, given some of the past work we've done, I like to make sure that activities you do in the class kind of all wrap together and are useful to you towards a final essay. So, I'm going to ask you to discuss your character pick, your choice of character for this week's discussion. And, tell us who you picked, tell us why you picked this character, and, write about that. Now, remember, for your discussion points, I'm looking for three things, four really, but three big ones. All right, you need to have substance. You need to have something to say, right? And then you need to have length. You need to be able to show me that you can expand on that thought. then you need to have cogent, profitable replies to other discussions. It's not enough just to say, hey Darren, I really agree with you. Now you can say that in 5 words or you can say it in 5 sentences, but if that's all you're saying, that's not helping that other person think deeper or sense what other people might be thinking, or give them more than just, oh yeah, I agree with you. That's not much. You're not necessarily furthering the conversation. Now I know we're not having an extended conversation in the discussion board. You need to reply only once, but it's got to be more than, hey, I agree with you. I'm probably never going to give you the full points if you're just doing that. So remember, you got to have something to say, substance, then legitimate length, expand on that. Good replies, and then of course the last one is, are you capitalizing words you should capitalize? Are you capitalizing I? That still needs to be capitalized. Yeah, I know it's going to change in the next 20 years or so, but at this point you still should be capitalizing I. And are you using your apostrophes correctly? Are you using, it's that stuff, right? Are you not embarrassing yourself with your misspellings and all that on your discussion replies? So in your discussion, I want you to talk about the character choice and why you picked it and what you're hoping to find. Okay, obviously you don't know everything about your characters. You can talk about your expectations. You can talk about what you think you're going to find, or whatever. But so let's go ahead and get started on this. And as always, I am open to texting, phone calls, or email. So you have my phone number. You're always welcome to talk with me that way. And I've been doing a lot of grading, and of course, we're leading towards essay. This essay is going to be graded too. Just remember that if you are okay with your grade, I'm okay with it. I'm scoring them initially, but I'm not giving a lot of comments. I'm waiting for you to reach out to me if you want to do a revision. If you say you got an 80 out of 100, and you're like, I have some extra time, I feel like I'm going to try, maybe I can get those points back. At that point, reach out to me, say, Dr. Horn, on that essay, I got an 80 out of 100 or whatever, and I would like to know why and how I can make it better. And if you do this in an email and you copy and paste your essay into the email, tell me what you made, and I can very easily respond to that with a voice message that you can replay as you read your essay, and then you can rewrite your essay and get a better grade. If you're going to do that via email, you always have my Lorain email. mhorn@loraincc.edu. But I'll tell you, the email that I check the most every day, 3 or 4 times a day, is my Kent State email. Okay, so that's MHORN, mhorn, and then the number 3, so mhorn3 at Kent, KENT, .edu. So copy and paste your essay in there, send me that email to kent.edu, mhorn3 at kent.edu. I'll send you a voice message with comments back, advice on how to make it better, telling you why you didn't get whatever you didn't get, and then you can redo it, resubmit it, get a better grade. Okay? If you don't want to do any of that because you're okay with the grade, then thank you. I'm okay with that too. It saves me a lot of time. But I just want to make sure that you understand I'm more than happy to talk to you about your writing. I just can't do that initially to everyone in the first grade through, because then I'll be spending 20, 30 hours grading these essays. And there's no way on earth or in heaven that I'm ever getting paid enough to do that. So I need to find a way to make our interactions manageable given the hours of the day that I work. So thank you so much for understanding that. I really know that you have done a really good job just being patient with me and working with me through this class, and I appreciate that.